My sister-in-law was like, if you stop there, you will meet the baby's head there. Hello guys, hi, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you for stopping by. If you're a returnee, thank you for coming back again. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, okay? So today's video is about childbirth. Today's video is about childbirth. Some people were asking me stories about how my experience in childbirth. So I thought, why not make a video in case I thought, why not just make a video? So I'm going to tell you what happened during my baby's birth, my second baby. I might make references to the first baby, Joshua, because they were kind of similar. They were a bit similar, but Josiah's one was the most dramatic thing. So first of all, as I'm remembering it, I'm just laughing because it wasn't funny. Okay, so first of all, I knew that I was going to have a quick birth. I knew it because Joshua was very, very fast. So what happened was Joshua was actually born in Canada in the thick of winter, in like the middle of the pandemic. Like, he's the original pandemic baby, right? So what happened was my sister-in-law, shout out to my sister-in-law. Sorry, didn't mean that. I meant good afternoon, ma. in case she's watching this, because she's like my second mommy. She's like another mom to me, basically. She's my husband's sister, and she's just fantastic. Shout out to you, big mommy. So what happened was, during his birth, it was really quick, and the hospital was about an hour away. And I knew when I was fully dilated. Like, we were in the middle of the highway, and my husband was, and I felt that urge to poo, which is the universal language for it's time, it's show time. But my husband, so I was like, oh, I need to poo. My husband was like, oh, should we stop somewhere? My sister-in-law was like, if you stop there, you will meet the baby's head there. So anyway, so this time around, we had the baby in the UK. So during my midwife visits, I was very, very panicky because I don't like pain, okay? I'm the kind of person that never ever gets menstrual cramps. I'm just, happy-go-lucky. If I bump my knee or more, I'm just not used to pain, basically. So I was very, very scared that I wasn't going to get my epidural, and because with Joshua I didn't get my epidural. So when I went for all my midwife visits, I was so like, I kept telling them, I want my epidural. So they kept saying, oh, you're not a high-risk pregnancy. Oh, I think you can deliver in the midwife suite, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'll tell you what happened, because it just seems like I'm rambling on and on. So when we got to close to the end of the pregnancy, when I was about 34 weeks, we started making birth plans. And then when I told her I had a precipitate labor the last time, a precipitate labor is basically labor that, from the first contraction to the birth of the baby is under 3 hours. I think some people use 2 hours and some people use 3 hours, but basically a very quick labor. So because I had a precipitate labor last time, I still wanted my epidural because the pain last time I don't just tell people about that kind of pain. It was too much for me. So I was like, okay, this time I must get my epidural. I must get there on time. I remember I said last time that the hospital was about an hour away, but this hospital was we're only like 7 minutes from the hospital. So you can actually walk to the hospital. Obviously, you can't do that when you're pregnant, but you can walk to the hospital. So the midwife started, she was like, oh, if I were you, I would have a home birth. What is your opinion on home births, by the way? Personally, I can't, okay? I just can't. I can't be watching Netflix in my living room and reliving the whole labor and delivery. let's just leave all those things outside. Let's leave them out. Let's leave them outside the door, okay? Let's leave them outside the door. We don't need to remember it every time. So anyway, basically I was like, nope, no home birth. And not to bring the race card in, but again, I'm a black woman, okay? And we're already sort of discriminated against health-wise. So I didn't want a situation where an emergency would arise and I wouldn't be able to get into the hospital on time. Do you get? So home birth was just a no-no for me, basically. So I said, if I have a home birth, you will not give me epidural. What I want is that epidural. Do you get? I want this epidural. So she was like, okay, fine, we'll put you in the hospital suite, blah blah blah, we'll do this, we'll do that. And everything was going smoothly. And then we went on holiday to the Cotswolds. I don't know if you guys have seen that video. I'll put the link down in the description box. So when we went on holiday in the Cotswolds, I was about 36 weeks at that point. I lost my mucus plug. So I thought, ooh, we're in trouble here. This baby can come anytime, any day. We're not home. I was like, but we had already checked like the general hospital around us. Anyway, but unfortunately we got back. I was 37 weeks. There was still no baby. I was getting antsy. Like, where is this baby? I was done. Joshua was born at 39 weeks, but I was really hoping that Josiah would be earlier at 38 weeks based. I was tired. I don't know if you guys have seen my previous vlogs where I was always complaining of exhaustion. I was just tired. So I was like, yeah, we need to we need to leave the house soon. So basically I was like, yeah, I need this baby out of me. I need this baby out. 37 weeks, no show. 38 weeks, no show. Meanwhile, don't forget the midwife had already, registered me in the hospital because I didn't want a home birth. But she already told me that because of how quick it was last time, the second time is more likely to be quick as well. So she was like, why don't you put emergency supplies downstairs so that you're not running up and down? And meanwhile, I had watched Patricia Bright's video where she gave birth in her corridor, and that really freaked me out. I was freaked out. I was like, I don't want to have this baby in my house. I don't want to have this baby at home. I want to make it to the hospital this time. So unfortunately, so the midwife was like, but like, you never can tell. Sometimes babies wait, sometimes they don't. So better to be prepared, always be prepared. So we had a bag downstairs with like towels, new clothes, and a shoelace, and all those things. Shoelace for tying the cord and cutting it. So we had the emergency supplies downstairs, right? So we were kind of ready. We just didn't want it to happen. So 38 weeks went by, nothing happened. 39 weeks went by, nothing happened. We went to our neighbor's house to do like a movie night kind of thing, and I was still complaining that night. So when we go home, it was 1 a.m. My sister-in-law was not, my other sister-in-law who lives in England was around with my nieces. So she was like, oh, and meanwhile my parents were supposed to come in like a couple of days later. So my mom was, my sister-in-law was already saying, oh, don't have this baby here, don't have this baby now, wait for your parents, because I'm leaving. Obviously she only came to visit, so she was going back. So she was like, I'm leaving, so don't bring the baby, or don't do anything that'll compromise the situation, you get. So I was like, okay, fine. But me, I was still like, you know what, I want this baby out of me now. I was done. So that Saturday morning I woke up, and I woke up like 9:30. I felt weird. There were no contractions or anything. I just felt weird. I just felt off. So we went and took it. Don't give birth hungry, oh, you get why. Don't give birth hungry. When you are hungry, make sure you eat before you go into that labor room, okay? So I came downstairs around like 11, and it was more around midday. It was like almost midday when I got downstairs, and there was rice and stew and some mackerel. So I wanted to eat rice and stew, so I put some in the microwave just to heat it up, and then I felt a twinge. Oh, okay. I was like, And see, this is the second time I'm feeling this twinge. Because I had already felt one earlier. Oh God, the baby's crying. So I already felt one earlier, like maybe like if a minute or so earlier. So I said, oh, Auntie, I'm feeling a twinge. And she was like, are you serious? Are you joking? Eat first, eat first. So the food was heating up in the microwave. And then I felt like this sudden wave of nausea. I was like, PTSD, because the last time I threw up all over the carpet, like all over the carpet. There was vomit everywhere. It was gross. So, and my sister-in-law cleaned it up. Again, I love you. So anyway, I felt a wave of nausea. I was like, and then I felt another twinge again. I was like, what's happening here? Is it time? Is it time? But again, like a couple of days before, I felt like some weird, I wouldn't call them contractions because they weren't painful, but they were just like regular. I would say maybe Braxton Hicks, but a little bit more intense than Braxton Hicks. Excuse me. So it was a little bit more intense, but then I slept off, and when I woke up, there was sunshine outside. People in labor, they don't sleep. So I was sad. So I didn't want to get my hopes up this time again. I was like, okay, fine. It's nothing, obviously. I mean, well, at this, if it's your second baby, they tell you give us have your contractions 5 minutes apart for like 1 hour before you call us. But I knew I couldn't wait 1 hour, obviously. So my sister-in-law was like, maybe you should start timing it. So I hit the timing button, the timer button on the, there's a contraction timer on the baby center app. So I clicked on that, and it was working and working and working. So I was like, and then so I clicked on that, and I counted about 3 contractions, but they were getting a little bit more intense. Nothing I couldn't handle. It wasn't that serious. So I was like, before it gets serious, let us start going. At least if I get there and I get checked and they say it's not time, then I'll just come back. It's not a big deal. We're just 7 minutes away. Why don't we just go? So I rang the midwives, and I was like, oh, I think it's go time. And they were like, oh, blah, blah. They took the history and all of that. I was still having contractions, but then they had an emergency, so they had to hang up. And when they called me back, it was like 4 minutes later, and I hadn't had a contraction in those 4 minutes. So I was like, I don't think these are contractions. Maybe they were just like warning shots or anything. Bear in mind that I had only counted 3 contractions at this point, about three or 4 contractions at this point. So it was still like 5 minutes to midday, right? So the woman was like, you know what? Because of your history, why don't you just come? You get checked. If is that what you want? I was like, yeah, I want to get checked. Let's go. And then Dewale was like, he wants to shower. Shower. Bro, I don't think we have time for that right now. I don't think, actually, we just don't have the time, So he went upstairs and was doing his thing. I don't know what he was doing. Was trying to get ready, trying to make sure that Joshua as well had, was fine. And because my nieces were going to look after him while we went to the hospital, because my sister-in-law was going with me as well. So when he waited for like 15 minutes, and then we had to take my sister-in-law's car actually, because there was no time to get the car seat out of the car, and the car there was not enough space for everybody basically. So we had to take my sister-in-law's car. So I was just like, Dewale, let's go, because after the woman hung up, I started getting these contractions again, and they were getting a bit more painful. Bear in mind, my rice and mackerel, they still in microwave. I never touched them. I hadn't eaten anything at all. This was the point where I should have had at least some juice. So I went. So we said goodbye to everybody. Joshua didn't know what was happening. He was happily watching Coco Melon, and then we got into the car. I'm telling you, it was 7 minutes. We were 7 minutes away from the hospital. As soon as we got to the hospital, again, it was even faster because it was a Saturday and there was no, there was no traffic at all. So when we got to the hospital, it was like within 5 minutes, I started feeling that urge to push again. But we hadn't actually gotten to the hospital. We had to go around. They really thought that we had missed a turning, and we were on a one-way road. So we had to go back around, and it's a very big hospital. So we had to drive round again. But I knew that baby was coming, and I didn't want that baby to come inside the car. The car is fine. Do you get? You can't have blood stains, placenta, and all this. You can't have that. So I didn't want that to happen to that. The car was new, like shine, beautiful car. I want that car. I didn't get, but I digress. Basically, the car was very, very it was really in good condition, and I didn't want to spoil that. So I was like, if this baby comes on the road, they were like, you will catch baby, or you will. Anyway, so we went around, and then when we got to where the entrance to the hospital, I felt like I had like an out of body experience. I felt like I was like floating. The baby was literally coming. I'm not even kidding at all. So I still managed to stand on my legs. I don't know how I did it, but I managed to stand on my legs, but I couldn't, not on my legs, on my feet, but I couldn't walk. So my husband had to go and get the wheelchair. But if you guys know the NHS wheelchairs, you have to wheel them backwards because they just don't go well forwards. I don't know why, but he didn't know that, obviously, because he doesn't work with the NHS. So he was pushing it, so it was really very difficult. And then I managed to get in, and so he had to go and park, because obviously we stopped in like right in front. No other cars could pass, and we didn't want to cause like a backlog, like traffic. So he had to go and park, and then my sister-in-law had to wheel me in. Meanwhile, he had already told the midwives that, oh, my wife is in labor. I think the baby is coming. So they were on their way downstairs with the wheelchair, but he had already gotten the wheelchair. And then every time that the wheelchair moved, I felt like dying. It was bad. Like, I cannot describe the intensity of this pain to you, honestly. I cannot describe it. So we got into the elevator, and then we got stuck. So somebody had to help us in, because the wheelchair was really, really stiff. So when we got in, we met the midwives. They were on their way out, and then I was just like, you know what, this baby is coming now. This baby is coming now. You guys, I got into the triage room, and the woman was still trying to check my blood pressure, and I was like, this baby is coming. This baby is coming now. And then the midwife was like, obey your body, obey. Every time I remember this obey your body sentence, I want to scream, because like, what do you mean obey your body? I did not want to get a tear, right? And I did not want to push before I was, because I've seen in cervical laceration, I've had to repair cervical lacerations. They are not, people die from the bleeding. I didn't want to rupture anything. So I was like, I need to push now. Can you make sure that it's okay for me to push? And then she was like, oh, and then she checked me, and she was like, I'm not sure if what I'm feeling is the membrane or if it's actually the baby's head. What's your body telling you to do? I was like, my body is telling me to push. And she was like, well, then obey your body, push. I was still very panicked, but at this point I couldn't hold it anymore. I was on that triage sofa, like not a proper bed. I could have fallen over, but they had to, you have to check blood pressure and then put a line and blah blah, all of that. But there was no time for that. So like I was like, okay, let me try pushing. So meanwhile, with Joshua's pregnancy, I learned a lot about the pushing, because when I pushed the first time, I was screaming, and the woman was like, you're wasting your time and your energy. Why are you screaming? No need to scream, just push. So I didn't bother screaming this time. I just pushed. Bear in mind, Dewale was not back. He had just gone to park. It hadn't even been 5 minutes. What am I even saying? It hadn't even been 2 minutes. He hadn't come back from parking yet. So I was like, okay, fine, let me push. Hopefully nothing will go wrong. So I pushed, and then something popped and everyone screamed. So I stopped pushing, because I thought it was the baby's head. So, and the contraction had already stopped. So my sister-in-law, everybody screamed. So when I opened my eyes, it was my waters. They had gone all over everybody. Like, the water was like, there shall be showers of blessing. That was the situation. There was liquor everywhere. Like, the poor midwife got bathed. Oh god, it was gross. But then I didn't have time to be grossed out or anything. I still had a baby to get out. So they were like, okay, blah blah blah. And then another contraction came, and then I pushed, and his head came out. And then that was when Dewale got in. His head had already come out by that time. And then another push and he was out fully. The whole thing didn't take up to 30 minutes. Not even kidding. Like everything was like, I think it was okay. It was about 40 minutes actually. From the time I rang them at the hospital to the time he was born was about 40 minutes or less. I'm not really sure, but it was about that. And my sister-in-law was like, what's happening? What's happening? And then it was so funny because Diwali came in and Diwali was like, the baby is here. Oh my god, the baby is here. The baby, like, he just went to park. He was like, oh, I just went to park the car. I just went to park the car. The baby was here. So and then everything was, everything was fine. I was like, okay. Everybody was checking on me. Okay, how are you feeling? Blah blah blah. They were okay, fine. Let's get you out of the triage room now and let's go to the non-triage room, like the regular rooms. So as I was going, I was feeling really lightheaded. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I thought I was dying. So when they hadn't gotten, gosh, the NHS is really underfunded. So my bedroom didn't have a pillow. So while they went to get a pillow, I was sitting on the chair. I was sitting on a chair in the room, and I just felt like life was draining out of me. I just felt like I felt like Dewale's voice was getting, they had already given the baby to Dewale. My sister-in-law was with me. So I felt like life was like, I felt like their voices were so far away. And then Dewale he wasn't panicking. He just wanted to know what to do because we had already had this discussion about, advocacy. Because obviously when you're in labor, you can't advocate for yourself. And like I said, as a black woman, you have to be on top of your game, when you're receiving care like that in hospital. So I already told Dewale about, we had already talked about it. So it was like, let me know, do you need me to do something? Do you need me to call the doctor? Do you need me to, how are you feeling? But I couldn't say anything. I was just like fading away. And then my sister-in-law, she's a nurse. So she was like, I felt like I didn't know if my blood pressure was dropping. Maybe I felt maybe, okay, did you rip something? Because the midwife checked me and she was like, you didn't tear anything. But I was like, could she have missed something? Because I'm feeling like I'm slipping away here. It was really scary, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, God, I don't want to die. I just had a baby. My firstborn is not even 2. I don't want to die. But all this, obviously, I didn't say it out because I couldn't. So my sister-in-law was like, Temi, you're scaring me. Temi, what's happening? And then the midwife, she went to get the midwife. The midwife came and checked my blood pressure. It was fine. So I was like, okay, fine. That means I'm not dying. Things, okay, fine. And then she was like, would you like something to eat? Then it clicked, like, you didn't actually eat anything. You didn't eat anything. So she went and got me a juice box and I drank all of it and then drank some more Lucozade, and then suddenly everybody's voices started coming back into focus and I was like, oh, okay. So it was just hunger. So like I said, don't give birth hungry. Don't allow your family member to give birth hungry. Always have snacks ready. You get? So anyway, I came back. I was miraculously brought back to life by God. Because hypoglycemia kills, actually. Low blood sugar kills. God was looking out for me, obviously. It wasn't my doing, because what if nobody remembered that I hadn't eaten and my blood sugar was just dropping lower and lower and lower? Anything could have happened. Anything could have gone wrong. But I'm just really grateful to God that nothing went wrong. And then that was it. I started eating a bit more, but I kept drifting in and out of like lucidity, I would say. So I had to keep on top of my sugar and then my sister-in-law bought more Lucozade, and then I had to eat one cake that was so disgustingly sweet, but I needed the sugar, and then I started feeling like myself again. And we got back home like 9 p.m. You have to wait 6 hours first before they discharge you. So we had to wait 6 hours, and then handover started, and then we had to wait for the night team, and then they had to do some checks on the baby. Anyway, that was everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That was my dramatic, delivery story. I would have been like one of those videos I've seen on YouTube where people have the babies on the corridor or like in the car. Gosh, I was really panicked about having the baby anywhere other than a hospital. I didn't want that to happen at all. So I'm glad that at least I got to the triage room, even though I didn't make it into the labor room. But you know, thank God for mercies. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you have any questions and I'll try to answer them. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye. I was miraculous.
Like, who is this? Who is this guy? I don't know you. I'm your daddy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
So I just see my children.
Okay.